Every page of history hides a secret. Today, we're opening one. The story you're about to hear changed lives, shaped nations, and left lessons that still echo today. Watch closely, because history often reveals its greatest truths to those willing to look beyond the surface. Long before he was a king, he was a boy named Temüjin, born with a blood clot clutched in his tiny fist, a sign, the shaman said, of greatness, or perhaps unimaginable slaughter. But before the empire, there was only survival. How did a boy abandoned by his own tribe on the freezing steppes rise to command an empire larger than Rome? This central question of curiosity drives historians to this day. Was he a monster or a military genius? The truth is, he was both. To understand Genghis Khan, you must understand the environment that forged him. 12th century Mongolia was not a country. It was a brutal battleground of endless conflict. Tribes slaughtered one another for horses, women, and survival. When Temüjin was just a boy, his father was poisoned by rivals. His own clan abandoned his family, leaving them to starve. This early trauma stripped away any illusions of mercy. He learned early that in a broken world, power is the only currency. Through sheer force of will, brilliant diplomacy, and unmatched brutality, he did the impossible. He united the warring nomadic tribes. In 1206, he was granted the title Genghis Khan, the universal ruler. But unity required a common enemy. He turned his gaze outward, toward the wealthy, established empires of China and Persia. His strategy was pure, calculated terror. Genghis Khan realized that psychological warfare was just as effective as a physical blade. If a city surrendered to him, they were spared and taxed. If they resisted, they were entirely erased from existence. But do not mistake his brutality for mindless rage. Genghis Khan was a brilliant, self-made military strategist. He weaponized speed, communication, and meritocracy. While European knights were weighed down by 90 pounds of armor, Mongol horse archers wore light silk and could shoot accurately while riding at a full gallop. Khan created the YAM, the world's first global postal system. Relay stations were set up across Asia, allowing messengers to ride thousands of miles in days to deliver military intelligence. Furthermore, he broke tradition by promoting men based on talent and loyalty, rather than royal blood. He once promoted an enemy archer who had shot his own horse in battle, turning a rival into his most trusted general. Yet, behind the brilliant tactics lies a profound, devastating emotion. The sheer scale of human suffering caused by his conquests is almost impossible to comprehend. Historians estimate that the Mongol conquests resulted in the deaths of roughly 40 million people, about 10% of the entire global population at the time. Entire civilizations were wiped clean off the map. When the Persian city of Nishapur resisted, Khan's forces allegedly decapitated every single citizen, creating massive pyramids of human skulls. The raw emotion of terror became his greatest weapon. Towns hundreds of miles away would surrender without firing a single arrow, simply paralyzed by the fear of what the great Khan would do to them. By 1227, the empire stretched from the Pacific Ocean to the Caspian Sea, but no conqueror outruns death. At around the age of 65, Genghis Khan passed away. But here lies the ultimate surprise of his entire legacy. To this day, no one knows exactly how he died or where he is buried. Determined to keep his resting place a total secret, his funeral procession carried his body deep into the Mongolian wilderness. According to legend, the soldiers performing the burial slaughtered anyone they met on the road to hide the location. Then, after the great Khan was laid to rest, 800 horsemen rode over the grave repeatedly to erase any trace of disturbed earth. Finally, the soldiers themselves were executed to ensure the secret died with them. Over 800 years later, despite modern satellites, radar, and archaeological expeditions, his tomb remains completely undiscovered. With his death came a strange resolution. The chaotic, bloody conflict that built the empire gave way to the Pax Mongolica, the Mongol peace. For the first time in history, the entire Silk Road was under a single ruler, allowing culture, technology, and trade to flow safely between Europe and Asia. The brutal conqueror had accidentally unified the medieval world. So, what is the ultimate lesson we draw from the life of Genghis Khan? It is the terrifying realization that history is rarely black and white. Greatness and cruelty are often born from the exact same flame. Genghis Khan was a tyrant who built mountains of skulls, but he was also a visionary who tore down the walls of the old world to create the foundation of our modern, interconnected global society. He proved that destiny is not inherited, it is seized. But it leaves us with one final haunting thought. When we look back at the architects of our world, must we always look through a lens of blood?